I have help filming this video. Say hi, Pippin. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you my review of The Blood of Crows by Alex C. Pierce. For the overview of this book, if you like heists, if you like murder mystery, if you like young protagonist with a romantic subplot that actually is not cheesy and toxic and has some really wholesome, sweet, wonderful moments, if you like found family, if you like familiar, comfortable magic systems of elements with a little bit of a refreshing twist, this book is gonna be for you. The Blood of Crows is an indie fantasy novel written by author Alex Pierce, and this book was pitched to me as a fantasy heist story. Now, as we know from the likes of Lies of Locke Lamora, Mistborn, etc., I am a sucker for a good heist novel. I was so excited to get to this, and I actually put it off for a while because I was saving it for a rainy day. It was one of those books where I was like, I know I'm gonna like this, so I want to hang on to it for just a little bit, and I am so glad that I finally got over myself and picked this up because I had a great time with this book. Now, this review is going to be as spoiler-free as I can possibly make it, but let me give you a little bit of an overview. Ren is the main character of this story. He is a young protagonist who is basically indentured into service into this military unit called the 39th that is a bunch of soldiers who do a lot of kind of underhanded dealings of thievery and cons and all sorts of other things, pickpocketing, you name it, all overseen by their captain. Now, Ren we meet pretty quickly, and he is paired with Martin, who is his older mentor character who is also a member of the 39th. We open the story with a heist, and it just goes breakneck speed from page 1 to page whatever is the end of this, 320 or whatever it is. What was really interesting to me about this book that I wasn't expecting is I was expecting heist from start to finish, and what I actually got was this beautiful heist, coming-of-age, character-driven story with this massive thread of murder mystery through the middle. And that was not expected. One of the great themes in this book that is always a favorite of mine is found family. Ren kind of pieces together a family because he was originally an orphan, and we get to meet the characters that either already mean a lot to him or become meaningful to him as the story goes on. The magic system of this story is fairly familiar to a lot of us. It has to deal with the elements, but the way that Alex Pierce changes it up is that different genders are able to use different elements, which I thought was kind of interesting. It was kind of a fresh twist on the elemental magic trope, and I thought that it supported the story very well instead of taking anything away or becoming too overbearing, because for me personally, I love a good magic system, but I also don't want it to take over the story and be the entire point. Ren was a delightful protagonist. I actually really enjoyed Ren. He reminded me of a lot of my favorite younger protagonists in fantasy, and he's the kind of character that has a great kind of youthful sense of humor, but he's also serious when he needs to be. He makes mistakes, he has goals, and he struggles. This book just has such a great coming-of-age story to it. Ren goes through a lot, bless him, in this story, and it surprised me with how dark it got. The murder mystery thread that we find throughout this story actually really took me off guard quite a few times. It was brutal, it was shocking several times, and the way that Alex Pierce chose to write the scenes and how he pieces all of these stories together was just really refreshingly interesting to me. It's not too often that a book surprises me anymore, and I'm proud to say that Alex Pierce pulled that off multiple times in this book, and I really enjoyed it. This was a read that I can honestly just say I had a great time reading it. It was fun. It was lighter as far as the world building and the vastness from what I usually read in fantasy, and I actually found that to be incredibly refreshing in this story. It is a very intimate setting. We stay in one city for the entirety of the book, and it's really focused on the characterization of Ren and the people directly around him. There was a scene toward the end of this book that is one of the best examples of how to give a backstory in the right place at the right time with the most emotional impact that I have read in a long time. If you've read the book, ask me, I'll let you know what I'm talking about, but I actually had to reread that section multiple times, and I love finding hidden gems like that in books. The other thing that surprised me about this book, and everybody hang on to your beanies now because this might shock a few of you, there was a romantic subplot in this story that I really liked. I know, right? Okay, let's all sit back down. There were so many moments in this book where the romantic subplot, I actually just was sitting there. It was so wholesome, and it was so authentic, and it was so sweet, and it wasn't the gross, toxic, cheesy that we often get with young protagonist romances, and I absolutely love that, and I really have to give a shout out to Alex Pierce for that, because it is, as most of you know, it takes a lot for me to love a romance, especially a younger romance in books, because I've been burned so many times. But this really restored my faith in young fantasy romance. I loved it. It was very cute. The two characters involved were both interesting, fleshed out, had great motives. Going back to the fact that this book surprised me multiple times, there were several plot twists that I definitely did not see coming and were really great at hooking me and keeping me plowing through this entire book. Like, I had such a hard time putting this book down, you guys. It was so good. I think Alex Pierce has something really special here. This is a book that I can definitely see becoming kind of one of those comfort rereads for me when I just need something that I can pick up that has that young coming of age. This is not a book that's going to make your brain hurt, okay? There's not a lot of characters to keep track of. It's not an incredibly wildly intense magic system or world. It's just a great story about these characters with some awesome familiar tropes that are done with a refreshing twist, and I absolutely love this. But if you're the type of person like me that you do like a little bit of a dark edge to your stories, even when they're wholesome and fun, this is gonna be a great book for you. I loved it. It definitely has some darker moments and some surprisingly dark moments, to be honest. I was not expecting it from the initial onset of the book. I thought it was gonna be a certain tone, and Alex Pierce surprised me multiple times. So anyways, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about this book than that. I really hope that you will give it a shot if any of this sounds interesting to you, and if you do, be sure to let me know because I'd love to be able to talk about it. Yeah, this is just a really great addition to my indie fantasy shelf. I read it on ebook on my Kindle. I originally read this book on ebook format, and as soon as I finished, I ordered the physical copy because I desperately wanted to have a copy of it on my shelf. And I just got it today, so I was super excited to finally be able to film my review. I am a huge fan of character-driven stories, and I like these kind of intimate settings with high-stakes conflict for the particular characters that we follow in the story. Alex Pierce really hit it out of the park with this one for me. I had a great time with it. You're welcome to read my Goodreads review, which I will link down in the description box below, and I will also put a link to the Amazon page so that you can go grab yourself a copy of the ebook or the physical copy. To be perfectly honest, the physical copy is quite beautiful. As you can see, I absolutely love the color palette of this cover. It's beautiful. So beautiful. So I'm really excited to have a physical copy of this book. Anyway, that is all from me on that. I hope you guys decide to pick it up. And if you do, I hope you really enjoy it and have as good of a time with it as I did. And I hope you're having a great week, reading great books, and I'll see you in the next video.